This call is now live, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron Evans. I am internally blessed for every single one of you people on this call for tonight. This not even a banger. I can't even call it a banger. As Dame Dash called it, this ain't a mic drop. This is a bag drop. Today, we're going to be dropping a bag on you. And guess what's in the bag? Wisdom and knowledge. And within this bag, we have two greats on this call. Before I introduce them, let me set the tone. Let me set the energy right, because it's not just a Q&A. And I think a lot of us understand that the Q&A calls are like, oh, they're just going to ask questions. We'll ask questions and get an answer and we get to go home. No, I want you guys to actually methodically think about what this call is titled for. This is financial gain. This isn't a social media TikTok. This isn't a minute and a half blurb of energy. No, this is going to be 45 minutes, maybe to an hour of a block of time in your life where you get the opportunity to not just get whatever's in your head out, but actually answered. One thing that I live by this philosophy: if I got a question, I got to ask it. Because if I don't ask the question, I can't go to sleep at night. There's many of us today in the United States, in the world, that have a lot of unanswered financial questions. And because we are in a social media era where you have to now subjugate 3 minutes, a minute and a half to 3 minutes to provide value to somebody for them to regurgitate for a like and a retweet, it leaves out so much room for uncertainty and for a lot of questions. And I have to respect people who do what they do. They only got a short block of time to get your attention. This is why I love doing these things. Because for many of us, like myself, if you throw a word at me, but you don't break down what this word means and how I can actually apply it in my real life, then it's worthless to me. I liked your video. I like the editing. I like the captions. But now you leave me hanging. And there's a lot of people in the world right now that are left hanging. Can we agree? There's a lot of people in the world that have social media. Family, Facebook got over 2 billion users. TikTok got over 750,000, almost 750,000 people using it every single minute of every day. And guess what? Only 20% of the people in the world control 70% of the wealth. Why? Because of the disciplines and the habits that they have. And I did some research. It's almost like 5 to 10% of Americans actually have a financial coach or a financial advisor walking them through their financial decisions. Like, I'm talking about licensed professions. Because a lot of our financial decisions come from our parents, right? But I'm not saying that our parents can't provide value, but we got to understand that the generation that grew up in, the financial conditions that Gray grew up in, may not always be applicable in today, but some of the disciplines and the habits that they have is definitely applicable to right now. So I have Miss Karina Cruz and Mr. Chris Muzar. I hope I didn't butcher your last name. I apologize. But these two people are not only have been best friends to me, but they have provided me a sense of financial peace in my life. And I want to explain what financial peace really means. How did that really feel? Have you ever woke up scared that a transaction went through your phone when you went to sleep? And that if you check your bank account, you barely have enough money to go eat at lunch? You don't have enough money to help put groceries in the house, so you keep going to your job every single day and not having to eat lunch at work because you don't even have enough money to buy a sandwich at the lunch shop? Have you ever woken up and worried about how much gas you got in your tank, so you have to literally not press the gas so you don't ruin your gas tank? Have you ever had that financial scare in your life? Have you ever had the financial scare that's to the point you got to wear the same 3 shirts every single day all the time because you don't have enough money to wash your clothes? You don't have money to go to the gym, so you do push-ups in your room because you don't have enough bread in your account? Have you ever woken up every single day that you got worried that you literally were going to have negative balances every single day, that because of these banks and the way they're set up, that you got to get charged overdraft fees? So when you get paid, over 50% of your paycheck is just paying off overdraft fees? If you've ever had that worry before, you're looking at a kid not even 2 years ago was dealing with that every single waking moment of his life. You're looking at an example of somebody who's gone through that. And I'm 24 years old. No 20-year-old, 22-year-old, 21-year-old should have those kind of fears in their life. But the reason why I had them is because I was lacking this. I was lacking the discipline. I was lacking the habits. And so don't let the world fool you. Oh, we're living a great life. Oh, we're really doing amazing things. But guess what? They're not telling you. A lot of people are financially struggling, but they make ends meet to make things feel good because they got to take care of their kids. They got to look good to their boss. They got to look good to their friends. They got to look good to social media. But there's a lot of people in this world that are financially struggling.
She didn't bite me. She just snapped at me.
Because there's a lot of people in this world that are struggling financially because they don't have blessings like Miss Karina and Mr. Chris in their lives. And so the fact that I was blessed by God to find these two individuals, I am so happy that they are on this call. Can we please just show some red hearts in the chat for not only Mr. Chris and Miss Karina, not just for being here, right? For them not just being here, for them not just to be able to provide us some value. You are going to get master level wisdom. And the last time I checked, I don't hear a JP Morgan wealth advisor calling you up every single month doing a financial call. When was the last time Bank of America hit your phone and said, hey man, pay your credit card on time? I don't know the last time that Discover, Chase, Capital One, American Express, and all these different businesses that we got credit cards and bank accounts with, calling up your phone and making sure that you pay your bills on time, make sure you got financial help. I don't know the last time they've been doing that especially for African Americans like myself, but even for the average American, they're not doing that for you and me. You know what they're doing it for? Private clients. They got hundreds and thousands of dollars already moving. So I want to bring up to the front Miss Karina and Mr. Chris. I'm actually going to pin you guys both so you guys can see y'all beautiful faces because I'm so excited. But look, please introduce yourselves, and we're going to go ahead and begin with this amazing conversation. Karina, Chris, I love y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Please introduce yourselves to the world, to the people, so they know what you do and know what you have. Let's get it.
First things first, can we get some hearts and some thank yous to Aaron just for putting this together? And honestly, like, it's amazing because it's one thing to be on a crusade to for financial freedom yourself, but it's another thing to go and expose that information and to bring other people into the circle. And we've been working with Aaron for some time now, and it's all he's ever talked about is being able to bring this type of information to the collective, to you guys. So that just goes to show his heart and where his mind is at. And he's really just doing this by leading by example. Everything that we talk about, all these conversations that we have, he's living this, he's doing this. He's making it a point to make sure he himself is secure so he can actually talk about these things and, really speak from experience when it talks about his own financial journey. It's honestly just been a blessing to work with you, Aaron, just to see your progress from then to now, where we are now, where we're going to be in the next 6 months. I get goosebumps, man, because we've only been working together just a couple of months, and he's made such an immense amount of progress. Kudos to you, man. Kudos to you for putting it together. I'm super excited just for this conversation. And, just a little bit about myself. So I am definitely a part of the family. I am a part of I Am Academy. So it's a blessing kind of when I got this information. I really got it when I needed it. But I'm going to take you guys all the way back, to the very, very beginning of what really brought me into business and into finance. When I was a kid, I was like that kid in elementary school that was selling candy, selling pens, so I always had an entrepreneurial spirit, just within me as a kid, to the point where I was told that I couldn't sell anymore. My principal pulled me aside, was like, hey, Karina, you can't you can't take kids' money anymore. That was their lunch money, their parents only gave them a couple of things, and I was selling cool pens and candy and stuff like that. And I told him, the only way I'll stop doing it is if you gotta pay me out. I have to sell my business. You're gonna have to take all of my inventory. And he did. I made $30 that day. I was ecstatic. Imagine an elementary kid student just getting $30. I was used to maybe getting, $10 off another thing. But nonetheless, even through all that, I still had no financial foundation. I blew it the next day at the dollar store. I just bought toys and candy, so just through that experience, I went off to college, still thinking about business, still thinking about finance, still wanting just to learn what is it about this thing that we literally need to survive, that what can I know to make me better? So I ended up studying it in school. I went to school to study finance, study marketing, with the intention of learning things that will help me personally. I was blessed with the opportunity to be a college athlete. I was able to do some internships at some startups. I was able to work at some Fortune 200, some Fortune 300 companies out in New York as well as out here in Florida. But I'll be completely honest with you guys. I didn't learn anything to help me personally get ahead. Everything that I ever learned was like how to make the company grow, how to make the company better, how to do things for the company. I was really just overworked and underpaid. Well, I was super underpaid because I was an intern in most of these places. So I was super underpaid and overworked. Um, and then my first step into really seeing, I knew I wanted financial freedom, but I didn't really know what that was until I stepped into this amazing academy. IM Academy really just expanded my mind and opened my eye to just the possibilities of financial freedom, of the ability to have a skill set that can just generate you income whenever, however. So I've actually been a part of this platform going on 3 years in April. I was a part of the academy, and it's been an experience. I've had, my ups and downs. And at one point I had a really, really high point. I was Business was booming, super successful, trades were flowing. And honestly, like life just snacked me. Life snacked me like a rock. I got into like a car accident. So my car was like almost totaled. And then I got into to some situations where I just needed to help out just people with money. So it was just 1,000 here, 1,000 there, and it started to affect also the way that I traded. It started to affect my money mindset. It was making me be a little bit more impulsive, and doing things that I wasn't necessarily used to doing. But at that, I had to liquidate all of my assets. I had to liquidate everything. Because while I was learning how to make money, in all the financial training, right? I talk about the differences between financial education and financial training, but in all the financial training I received while I was in school, while I was working at these companies, I never learned how to keep whatever I was making. So I was building and making money and having this skill set on, I don't even want to say a foundation built on sand. Like there was no foundation. It was built on air. Like my foundation was literally built in the clouds. It was built on air. Because as soon as those things happened in a matter of a month, I had to liquidate everything, and I was basically back at square one. And that was such an aha moment to me because it made me look and see like, okay, what is this financial foundation? Like, what did I miss? What did I miss that put me back into this hole that I was in years ago? And that's where, I kind of looked into getting some type of financial coaching. And someone introduced me to the man, the myth, the legend, Chris, Chris Muzan, and his family. And he's really just personally been able to help me get out of the hole. And I'm blessed with the opportunity to not only get coached by him, but to be able to call him a business mentor, to be able to be a business partner with him. And I've just learned so much just within the financial industry. Not only have I learned what to do with my money, but now I learned how to allocate my assets. How should I be looking at investments? How do I even analyze investments to know if it's a good investment or a bad investment? So, all in all, just grateful to be in this space, grateful to be in alignment with Chris. And while all of those things happen, I know it happened for a reason, just to kind of just get me here and leave me here. And all in all, just help you guys, because I know what it's like to be an IM without a foundation. And I don't want anyone to ever go through that. If we're gonna make money, let's make sure we're building it the right way.
Huge. That's huge. Thank you, Karina. And Aaron, yes, thank you for giving us the platform for us being able to talk, man. We are so proud of you. I'm just going to second what Karina said. Super proud of you, man, for the journey, right? Again, continue to throw those hearts in the chat for this guy. It's, you guys all know this. It's all about putting in the work, right? It's just about putting in the work, no matter what you're doing, no matter what business, no matter if we're talking finance or anything, like it's just putting in the work. And this guy on the screen has put in the work, right? Aaron's put in the work to build his financial foundation so that now his future looks so much brighter than kind of where we first started it. And so that's the goal. Same thing for Karina. Karina comes on board, gets a chance to work with us, and just from there, right, her financial life becomes more solidified. She puts in the work, she learns the financial concepts, she starts to apply those things, and now from the combination of her being in a business with us and then also learning her finances and applying it, now she's in a much better position. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we come to do, right? My name's Chris Muzan. I'm your financial coach, financial therapist, right? I'm the person that we talk money. We talk money. And this is such an important conversation to have, especially in April. April's Financial Literacy Month. And so we take a special approach this month to really get the information out that everybody needs. And at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, just know that like you have to get good with money, because money is going to be the constant thing in your life. You're always going to need some form of currency. That's just the way it goes. So you might as well get good at it. What we realize though is most people don't get taught how to get good at it. We might pick up a skill set here and there. We might learn a little bit here and there from our parents. Maybe we get around a good mentor or somebody for a little bit of time. We pick up a concept. Maybe we just start taking advice off of the internet. Maybe we just start picking up, just like Aaron was saying, right? Those 30-second, those minute and 30-second sound bites. And then we piece together our financial life from all of that information. But how often are we sitting down with someone that's a professional that actually does this and can then guide you down the path? That's what rich people do, right? I know all of you are on this call for a common reason. It's because you want to make money, as you should, right? Like this is the goal, right? That's our scoreboard. Once you become an adult, your scoreboard is your bank account. A mentor of mine used to tell me that, right? Your scoreboard's your bank account. I know some of y'all play sports, and then you get out of that college sports world. So what are you playing for? You're playing for the real scoreboard, which is your bank account. And so that's what you're here to do. So you got to start learning the money game so that you can run up the score. That's the goal, right? And so now we get back to the place of saying, okay, well, how do we do that? What is it that we actually need to do? So we take the same concepts that wealthy people take. And the number one thing that wealthy people have is they have somebody coaching them through and guiding them through their financial process. There's a bunch of different avenues to it, right? But it's all the same. Big companies like to go after rich people. They like to go after people that have lots of investable assets, lots of liquidity so they can play with their money. What about the rest of us? What about the people that are just getting started and getting things rolling? That's where we need the most help. So that's what Karina and I come in and do, is we say, listen, let's build that foundation for you. Let's make sure that you have something that now you can go off and build all the things that you want to go build financially. But wealth takes time. Wealth takes time. It's nothing that happens overnight. This is something that you have to practice, and then you have to adapt certain habits and certain mindsets for you to be able to really build wealth. And that's what we're passionate about. That's what we're talking about for Financial Literacy Month. We know we wanted to come tonight and specifically answer some questions, right? Specifically answer some questions that you guys have, because everyone's at a different place financially. Everyone has a different level of information. Most importantly, you're getting information from a lot of different places. So maybe you just need someone to say, well, here's a clear-cut answer to that, or here's the way to think about it. Sometimes you just need that. And that's what Karina and I are here to do for you guys tonight. So, Aaron, I don't know if you want to fire off a question or two.
Yeah, but first, the intro was excellent, my boy. I had to give you props. That was a perfect segue into what we're doing. So, family, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be asking 2 questions. I know Karina has this little questions that people have been giving to her, and then we're gonna open the call up for those to answer maybe about 2 to 3 questions. So, how it's gonna work? I'm gonna ask the questions. Karina's gonna go, and then we're gonna open up the floor, and you're just gonna raise your hand. We'll unmute you, speak your question loud and clear and slowly, so that everybody in the room can regurgitate what you just asked. Take the time to write down what you was just asked, and then we can go into that point as well. We'll have 3 people from the crowd come up. So my first question, this is personally something that I've always wanted to ask. Is there a difference between a financial advisor and a financial coach? What is the difference, and how can we know? Why is there not a lot of financial advisors on social media, and less financial coaches? Could you answer that first question? That's for both of y'all.
You first.
You got it.
All right. So there's a couple different reasons. First off, there's kind of two different industries. They're the same, but they're do kind of two different things. So a financial advisor, they just put you into investments, right? They're the ones that put you into your Roth IRAs. They put you into, your long-term types of investments. And they're called financial advisors, but they don't really advise you on much other than just your long-term investments. They're not sitting down and working with you on the little things, talking about how to budget. They're not really talking about your cash flow. You may look at that, but they're not really talking about savings. They're not talking about proper protection or necessarily estate planning. They're really just there to put you into some type of investment and to advise you kind of where to put your money is long term. Now, as a financial coach, think about it like in sports. We're here to get you to your highest optimal self when it comes to finances. We're here to help you get to a place of confidence. We're here to literally coach you through the process. When you don't really know what to do, you go to your coach, be like, hey, like what play should I make? Right? When it's crunch time, when you're kind of in a boat, you'll go to your coach, be like, what will kind of be the best way or what's kind of the best solution out of this? That's really what we're there for. And then, from there, we can advise you on other, investments, things like that. We're not necessarily going to really put people into things. We're really there for education and guidance.
That's it. And very, very well said, Karina. And that's the gist of it, guys. If you start with your traditional financial advisor, just like Karina said, they're there to put you into investments. Okay. I've been doing this. My wife and I have been here in the financial space for about 10 years now. Right. And so we get a chance to learn and understand all of the different aspects of it and kind of who does what. And you have your traditional financial advisor. You're going to come to them when you have money that you want to passively put into the stock market. That's what a financial advisor is going to do for you. They're going to sit down. They're going to say, these are the host of mutual funds. These are the host of, index funds. These are the host of stocks or bonds. And they're going to have some type of understanding because that's what they do. They're going to charge you a little bit of money to work with them. So someone at, Charles Schwab or Merrill Lynch, or even at the bank, they might have a financial advisor. They're going to charge you so that you can put your money with them. So they're helping the people that already have the money create their portfolio in the stocks and bonds world. That's about the extent that they're going to do. Okay. And so that's a classic financial advisor. They typically have to have a license in order to call themselves a financial advisor. Okay. So they have to have something called a securities license, series license, series 6, 63, 65, series 7. These are professional licenses that are governed by the SEC that allow someone the ability to sell a stock or a bond. Right. Unless you have a special license to do that, you cannot sell a stock or a bond to somebody. That's what a traditional financial advisor does. Okay. They're putting your money into the market. And just like Karina said, you come down the other side where your coach is. We don't have the license to be able to put you in a trade or put you into some form of stock and bond, but that's why the skill set that you have learning to trade will do what an advisor would do anyway. You're just learning it in a different market, right? But it's still that side. The coach, though, comes in and says, let's put your whole picture together. Let's understand where you want to go. Let's look at your debt. Let's look at your savings. Before we just talk about investing money in the market, do you have good habits when it comes to your money? Do you track your money? Are you writing? Do you know how much you spent last month on dining out or on entertainment? Do you need to make more money? Like just from earned income, not from invested income, but like from earned income. If you have a job and you make $2,000 a month at your job and your expenses are $1,800 a month for living, well, maybe you need to go get a job that pays you $4,000 a month, right? So you can increase the cash flow. That's some basic stuff before we even have to talk about investing. That's what a financial coach is there to do, is to say, hey, let's coach you through this process. Let's look at your money mindset. Let's look at some of your habits. Let's get a little vulnerable. Let's look at what systems you have in place to be able to build wealth. Because even if it comes in, if you don't have systems behind it, you won't keep it. And so that's really what coaching is about, is saying, okay, we need to help people down this path. And a lot of times the reason why you might see more, I think the question was, you see more advisors than you see coaches, right? So the reason why you might see more advisors out there is because people actually misrepresent themselves and they call themselves a financial advisor, even though typically they're not. They're not licensed for it. It's hard to find real, true financial advisors on the internet because you have licenses and the SEC and all these regulatory commissions. Like, they look at your emails, they look at your social media. It's a highly regulated industry to be able to sell securities to people. So that's why you actually won't really see a lot of financial advisors talking a lot on social media. They might call themselves that, but if they truly have licenses, they're probably not putting out a ton of content. Everything else, though, if you're just in the coaching side, we can talk. That's why we prefer to go the coaching side. One, our people, right? Our community, we need the coaching more than necessarily we need somebody to tell us what stock or bond to pick. Like, we can get that information. We're good on that side. But we don't always have somebody that's just going to guide us down the path of building that foundation. So coaching definitely is an important aspect. The advisor is somebody that's really down the road for most people that really just wants to invest some money for you.
That's a beautiful answer. And for those who understand, we as investors, as traders, as myself, I'm looking to get coached because we learned the skill to trade our own. But now having a coach to put the full picture together allows me the comfort. So when I make a profit in the market, I can go take that profit and go help me pay off some debt. And because of these two, I've paid off 2 credit cards.
There we go.
And I haven't touched my other credit cards. Now I'm working on a big one I maxed out when I was 22.
Big deal.
All because of a coach guiding me through it. And family, I completely understand. I will say this. I understand the fear of having a coach. We're adults. We don't like to be told what to do anymore because we're not kids, right? And a lot of people may fear having somebody tell you what to do with your money, might feel like, oh, they're going to nag me. They're just like my parents. No, they are literally trying. They're paid to help you. So if you don't allow yourself to be helped, you'll never get help. You have to allow yourself to get help to be helped. And so that's why you got to understand. And that's why you got to understand the difference between an advisor and a coach. What are they there to do? So heading on to the second question, this is for more of savings. So a statistic came out early this year saying that the amount of savings accounts totals have dropped to the lowest amount that they've ever been due to inflation and due to certain things. So what kind of disciplinary action steps can someone take to build their savings account? What could they do today that amidst all of the craziness of the market and the BRICS and the US dollar and all the stuff, and that can cause a lot of people to go, oh my God, what am I going to do? What could we take as actionary steps to help us build our safety nets and our emergency funds?
It's a great question. That's a great question, man. So what are some habits and some things that you can do to build up your savings? It's very simple in theory, but maybe difficult to do, is know your limits, right? So why is it that, like you said, why is it that so many savings accounts are kind of at an all-time low? A lot of people are probably saving a little bit too much. They're probably looking at it as a dollar amount. All right, I need to get to $2,000 worth in my savings, not knowing that their monthly expenses is about $1,800, right? So they're trying to get to this, really huge goal, but their habits and their goals kind of don't really line up. So, one of the reasons you really just got to know, all right, what is the amount that you can do that isn't out of reach? And then it's also, something we talk about a lot is just, it's a habit that you're trying to create, right? We're all investors here. You want to be able to, every time a check comes, maybe put into some type of investment, get into some type of crypto. Savings is kind of the same way, but you have to make sure you're doing it within your means. A lot of people just don't know what it means to kind of live within their means because we don't really make it a habit of looking at our money to begin with. So when it comes to savings, it's really just sitting down and understanding, all right, what amount can I do that I don't have to stop doing? making sure it's a continuous thing, no matter how much, no matter what happens that month, you know, maybe you work a little bit less hours and not like maybe some money doesn't come in, you still want to be able to save.
Karina, I don't even want to go past that point because I think that is the point that people have to understand. And it's sometimes, again, counterintuitive, guys. Remember, we're part your financial coach. Also, we call ourselves financial therapists because we have to dive into how you think about things, right? And kind of how the mind works and how your habits work around things. And here's the big part. Savings is a habit, right? So here's what happens when Karina says know your limits. What this is saying is sometimes you oversave. Sometimes you can oversave. If you put, again, this is what Karina was saying, if you put $500 a month away in savings just because it makes you feel good, you're like, oh, I'm just going to save this $500. And 2 months down the line, you're like, oh, I need some money. And then you go in and you touch that $500 or you touch that $700 or, right, you got to pay a bill with it or it has to come back out. Well, the more that you do that, you're building a negative habit in your money habits, right? You're not just saving money, you're touching money. So you're saving it, and then a couple months go by, and then you touch it, and then you save it, and then you touch it. Well, guess what? We work with people in their 40s and 50s and 60s that have the same habit. They still haven't learned how to save money because they keep saving it and then touching it. Oh, I'm gonna save for a house and then I spend it all on the house. Oh, I'm gonna save for this car and then I spend it all on the car. So these become financial habits that you have to break in order to be able to get to good amounts of saving. So knowing your limits is you can oversave. And it doesn't make sense to oversave. You have to save, like Karina said, with a manageable amount that you won't miss, that you won't have to touch. We've started people saving $30 out of every paycheck. I know you might feel like you can do $200, but if every 2-3 months you got to go touch your savings, well, you might be over saving. So maybe you start with $30 out of every check and just never have to touch it because we all waste $30 every 2 weeks, right? We all do. So why not just put that over there for yourself and don't touch it? But do that consistently over 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Now you say, well, instead of 30, I could do 60 because you built a habit. You didn't have to touch it. Now you start incrementally raising it. And that's how you build a savings account. That's how you build the habit of saving. First things first, you got to make sure you bite, right? Don't bite off more than you can chew. And the other part, just to add on to what Karina said, is you got to pay yourself first. Got to pay yourself first. This is a saying that you might hear, but I just always want to clarify it for you. If we're going to talk anything about savings, you got to pay yourself first. What does that mean? You have a job, your job pays you on Friday, that money hits that account on Friday. What's the first thing you take care of? It's got to be you. It's not the bills. It's not the, oh, I got to pay rent. Oh, I got to pay this mortgage real quick. Oh, I got to make this trade real quick. No. I'm going to take a small amount and I'm going to put it into a savings account first thing before I do anything else. It could just be that $30. It could be $40. It could be $70. I don't know. It's different for everybody. But you take a small amount, you put it over there first thing you get paid and make that the habit. You do that for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you're going to see your savings amount increase tremendously and you're not going to have to touch it.
And just kind of another piece to kind of add to it, because there's two sides to every coin. So one reason people don't save is one, you know, they're probably over saving. Another reason that people might not save is just because it's not a priority. It's really not a priority for a lot of people, especially people kind of our age. And so you kind of go through something, then you think, oh, maybe I should have saved some of my money. And I was recently talking to someone about this, and I was gonna put out some content in regards to it. But when we say like I have to save my money, for some people, like it's something you know you have to do, but why is it that we're not doing it? Maybe just change the way that you're saying it. So instead of saying, you know, like Chris said, pay yourself first. Instead of saying I have to save my money, instead say, oh, I have to pay myself first. Or say, this is a gift towards my peace of mind. Or this is a gift towards my future. Or say, this is a form of self-love. Because honestly, saving is a form of self-love because you're taking care of yourself and your finances first. So two sides to every coin. I want to make sure, you know, we're getting both pieces of it.
No, that's good right there. And family, I want to give a transparent moment. I was having a call with both of them, and I promise you, I had this big withdrawal from the market. It was around 5K. I paid off my cards, and I put, I think it was like 500 into the savings account. I felt real good. Chris was like, dog, like, come on, dog. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. I know it feels good, but in the long run, you know you're going to go grab in there. I said, yeah, I do that. I do that. So I took out 400 of that and I only put 100 in. I still pay myself, but now I don't have the urge to go back. It's like going back to your toxic ex. You know for sure you left your ex go, and you keep trying to go back because it makes you feel good and you don't want to let go of something. You don't want to let go of it. And so I'll just put that in a street kind of way. Going back to your toxic ex, you got to let them go. Sometimes that paying yourself up, let that $50 go. Put it away. Now, if you like, I know some people, and then some people want to throw the rebuttal. Well, my savings account doesn't earn me any funds. There's high yield savings accounts that do that. I use Marcus Goldman Sachs. That's what I use. Y'all can.
And to that point, Aaron, real quick, because that's a common one since we're on this Q&A. A lot of people say, oh, well, should I be saving money because I thought I should be investing all my money, right? If I'm not growing any money at the bank, well, shouldn't I be investing it? And that's a good logical question. But the technical answer to that is until you have the habit of saving, you can't really ever build the habit of investing. The goal of investing is to continue to do this long term and not have to pull out, not have to, right, change your investment strategy. Like that's the goal. It's to continue to do it. The thing that stops most people from doing that for a long time is you have like a financial hiccup, like your car breaks down, or like you have a medical bill randomly, or something pops up and you get into some debt, you get a speeding ticket like that, or you travel and something happens. Like that's normally what then is like, damn, I don't have any money. Like I don't have any savings. Now I got to pull out of these investments. Now I can't invest the way that I want to, even if I wanted to, because I don't have the money. So that's why we got to start over on the other side and say, okay, well, saving has a cushion that then if we have a life event happen, which we'll all have a life event, then you can tap into your cushion and not pull out of the market or not pull out of the investment. So that's why you got to have that savings regardless of if it's not growing you that much. And like Aaron said, like you can get 4, 5, 6% right now in a high yield savings account. You can go find it, right? But you got to just make sure that you're putting that money over there and continuing to build to that 6 months worth of income so that you can feel comfortable to invest for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years comfortably.
And yeah, and just the piece to add to that, just because I'm not sure we said it, you're only looking to save 6 to 12 months worth of your income. The more, the better, especially, you know, in today's economy. But once you get to that 6 to 12 month range, you don't have to save anymore. Like you don't, I mean, you should, as you make more money, you want to, you know, put a little bit more in savings. But once you get to a certain point where like Chris was saying, like you have that really good cushion, everything that you were putting towards your savings, now you can just put that same amount into some type of investment and treat it as such. But
Family. Yo, drop some heat. If we only 2 questions deep, y'all. That is who's learning some game. That blew my mind when I first talked to them 6 months ago. For real. So I want to keep the ball rolling, Karina. I know you have some questions that were asked to you personally. Let's knock out yours, and then I want to open this up to the floor and get this ball rolling. So, so we'll answer that question once we get to the floor. We can ask that again. But Karina, you had some questions. Feel free to take it away.
No, real quick, Karina, before I jump in, let's answer that question. Who was it? Was it Amanda that said save 6 to 12 months worth of income or monthly expenses? It's a good question, and it's real simple. You'll hear a lot of people say expenses. You'll hear people say 6 to 12 months worth of expenses. We're going to tell you 6 to 12 months worth of your income. Here's why. Because your expenses should be lower than your income, right? So if you make $4,000, your expenses might be $2,000. So if you only save 6 months worth of your expenses and then you lose your job or something crazy happens, you actually don't have a full 6 months to live because your expenses are lower. So you really are only going to have, like, if you have 6 months of expenses, you're probably only going to have 3.5, maybe 4 months because you're used to your income that comes in. So we always say go after 6 to 12 months worth of your income. Because if you're used to making $4,000 and you get $24,000 set aside, well, you know you can live for 6 months because you can live off of your income. If that were just your expenses, it wouldn't last you 6 months. Okay. So that's the way that we think about it. You'll hear different people out there say different things, but that's really the best cushion to have is 6 to 12 months worth of your actual monthly income.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
great
Karina.
question. Great question. Well, one of the questions that someone asked was literally kind of about these savings, but someone had asked, what are some strategies for managing financial anxiety, financial stress? I thought this was a phenomenal question, especially considering where we are in today's economy and how much fear is just being fed through the news and through different outlets. So the best, and I think it was Ray Dalio that said this, but the best protection against inflation is you. The best protection against inflation is your own personal earning power. So getting skill sets and having a system, which is what what we're doing here. You guys are in a great place of being within the academy and kind of getting that skill set. It's really going to help with your financial stress and anxiety because you know that you're building and creating something that's going to help you for the long run. It may take 2, 5, 10 years to get a skill down, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's something that's gonna help you manage that stress and that anxiety. Another piece to it is just look at your money. Like just open up your bank account, look at your expenses, look at your credit card. Where is your money going? Where is your money flowing? Think about it like this. Let's say like, you're riding your bike. If you're a kid, you're riding your bike or you're riding your skateboard, something like that, and then you fall. And you're in pain, you got hurt and you're in so much pain, you're crying or whatever. But you look at it and the cut is like that big. It's a really small cut. Once you look at it, once you look at what's causing you pain, it's really not gonna hurt as much. So I
That's
know for
huge.
me, that's definitely what helped because when life hit me like a truck, I definitely had some financial stress, but I didn't look to see where my money was going to help me kind of manage everything.
That's huge. Again, you're hitting the nail on the head. I hope everybody's paying attention because that's the real answer, right? Like real answer is you got to look at your money. It's a little counterintuitive because the things we're scared of, we don't always want to look at. That's where the stress comes from. That's where the fear comes from. That's where the anxiety comes from. It's because you're actually not looking at it. So you have a little bit of fear around it. That's why if you dive in and look at it and look at your numbers and track your money and go back in and see what did I spend in the month of March? Exactly where did all the money go? Let's look at that credit card statement. Like really, how much did I spend on DoorDash? Right? How much did go to Uber? Like just really look at the numbers, not ballpark. If you really look at it, it actually gives you a sense of peace. It takes away the fear. It takes away the anxiety. It takes away the I'm kind of scared and stressed about my money because I actually know it. Anything you have a plan for, it relieves your stress. If you studied for a test and you know that you studied for that test, you have less stress going into taking the test because you know you studied for it. Like you had the information, you were looking at it, it was in your mind. Same thing with your money. If you're feeling stress around your money, probably because you have a cash flow issue, right? You either don't make enough or you spend a lot of it and got high expenses. So you probably need to make some more money, right? That's fine. But if you just look at your money, if you just look to see the numbers, it'll make you feel so much better. And that's how you really get through the financial stresses. But they're going to stay with you, man.
And it's the crazy, like, watch what they just did and how that translates into what we talk about in trading. How are you going to trade in the market if you don't look at it? We all look at the market before we place a trade, right? Drop a 7 if you do that. You just don't open MT4 and just place. Drop a 7 if you look at the market first and you look at your trading account balance before you place a trade. Drop a 7 in the chat if you do that. That should be everybody. We already have the habit of looking at the market before we make a decision in the trade. It's the same thing here. You got to look at your finances to the penny. We don't make any mistakes trading. We know our lot size is about a pip. We know the trade by the pip. We know our stop loss by the pip. We know what trade we can spit a trade, right? Oh, NASDAQ's gonna hit this level. It's gonna turn around and buy, sell, CPI, But then when I ask you, hey man, how much you spent on your credit card? You go, man, I don't really know. So translate that exact trading plan we have for trading, do it here. That I had to get over that. That was my fear. I hated looking at my money. I felt like, man, I know if I open this account, I'm gonna feel bad. I know for but I was so excited to look at my MT4 to make sure TP got hit, right? So that same financial stress we have about trading and not the confidence that I placed a stop loss, I know I placed a TP and letting the trade go, it can be easily translatable into this world as well. Make sure that we look at our bread. It is okay. It's yours, y'all. You worked for it. You might as well look at it. You spent 40 hours to working your behind that. Maybe a job you don't like, or maybe a job you do like, and you worked for it. Don't be afraid to look at it. Didn't mean to cut you off, Karina, but it translates. So you had a second question for you. You had a second one?
I'll throw it to you. Let me know kind of what people have kind of asked.
Okay, cool. Chris, I'll throw one at you, my boy. I thought this is my last one and we'll open up to the floor. Okay. So here's something that many people don't think about, and this is something that I was thinking about, but I learned it from you. You didn't even talk about it. How do we track it? Like, seriously, how do we track it? What are some tools we can use today to actually track our spending? Are there apps out there we can use? Are there spreadsheets that we can create? Like, what are some, because I also see this too, and I'm not saying that I see a lot of TikTok creators do this, and it's typically more women who do this, but they got these beautiful spreadsheets and journals. They sell on Etsy. They got all these different things, but as me, an individual, I don't want the fancy stuff. I need to be practical. I need to be easy and convenient. So what are some applications or some tools that we can start building the habit of tracking our expenses?
I love it. There's a bunch of different ways, and you guys got to figure out what works best for you. I'm gonna give you the two most popular ways. People do a lot of the app side of things, either Rocket Money or Mint. Those are normally the two budgeting apps that people use, Rocket Money or Mint, right? I'm not a big fan of either, and I'll tell you why. Because the more that you out of sight, out of mind something, if it's very convenient and it just like kind of tallies it up for you, you actually don't feel as connected to the money. It's like kind of looking at somebody else's bank account numbers, right? It's like, oh, okay, I see you got some stuff there, but it's not really connected to you because it just kind of does it conveniently for you. But that is a way that people do budget their money. They use Rocket Money. They use Mint. What I always recommend is you getting just
progress
actual Excel spreadsheet, right? Just the actual Excel spreadsheet. And this is something that if you connect with Karina or myself, like we'll get it to you. It's a tracking sheet that we happen to use that we give to everyone that we sit down with. And what it does is it gives you the ability to look back over the last couple months of your bank statements or your history, and you go in and manually put the numbers in. So it'll give you categories, and a basic Excel spreadsheet gives you all your bills, right? Your mortgage and your rent and your car insurance and all of those things. But then it goes into your variable expenses, the miscellaneous stuff. How much did you spend on gas? How much you spend on Uber or DoorDash, or right? Like those little things. And the best way to go about it, I've found this out by being here for a bunch of years and doing this with a lot of people, that if the first few times you do it manually, you go into your bank account, you go look at your bank statement from the beginning of the month to the end. So let's say March 1st to March 31st, and you look at every single transaction that's on the screen. There we go, right? It's going to look like that. And you're going to look at every single transaction on the screen, and you're going to take that 1 month snapshot looking back and see exactly where you spent the money. If you see on the screen that top part of it, that blue part, like that's all of your what we call your fixed expenses. So that's just, again, the rent, the car insurance, the cell phone, the utilities, the credit card payments, those are the bills. So that stuff is the stuff most people budget. But the real things to start budgeting are all the other stuff. gas, dining out, groceries, miscellaneous food, shopping, Amazon, Targets, Walmarts, Ubers, entertainment, like everywhere your money goes, even the transactions, even the how much cash did you take out of the ATM? If some of y'all like playing around with cash and you use a lot of cash, that's the easiest way to lose track of your money. Because if I asked you 3 months ago, where'd you spend that cash? You might not know. You might not have that answer. You just know you spent it. But at least on here, you could see, hey, I took out $300 from the ATM. I took out $200 from the ATM, or your Cash App, or your Venmo, or your PayPal, or your Google Pay or Apple Pay, whatever you use. Those are transactions that you got to pay attention to. You got to know how much you're transacting and for what. And so once you see all of those numbers, you can look at your total expenses and you match that up with your total income. You do that. If anybody does that for 3 months, 3 or 4 months, looking back, you'll see your financial habits, right? You'll see exactly what your habits are telling you you've done with money. And once you know what you've done with money, then we can start to budget, plan for what we want to do with the money. And so we give you that sheet. And again, you can get connected with Karina and she'll be able to get you that sheet. And we can walk you through exactly how to do it. But that's typically the best way to track your money and get good with it. More so than just even having an app that does
it. And kind of another piece to add to it, I feel like it's especially important for us to be tracking our money because we're traders, right? Because you have this form of like self-employment type of thing. Now, when we talk about money, we got to talk about taxes. They're one and the same. Shout out to Aaron who had, Bree from Tax Wiz kind of on a couple of days ago. I was definitely on that call. And she talked about this as well, like the importance of being able to track and look at your money. Because at the end of the year, right, this kind of get a little bit more in depth, but as a trader, you can have an LLC, you could be paying yourself out to a business bank account, but you can also be writing things off. And if you're already tracking your money come tax season, you can, really just kind of finesse the game, have a profit and loss statement, and you're really gonna be able to allocate and show and pay less in taxes. I'm not sure if you know, but being an investor and being an investor and a trader is one of the things that's taxed the highest. At minimum, it's at 30%. So if we're going to talk about money, we also got to talk about, all right, what are the ways that we're going to be protecting our money? What are the ways and strategies that we could be paying the least amount in taxes? Now, I know people in our community, people, of our culture, we don't have tax conversations. That's not something, that is even in the vicinity of talking. But if you're really trying to build wealth, if you're really trying to be super successful trading, you got to take into account, all right, what are the ways that I can limit my tax exposure?
And so it's actually really important that let's just translate into trading. Let's give it like that, and then we're gonna open the floor for some questions. So here's what I do. Everybody got an MT4 and a history page. We know our history pages. Your numbers don't lie when it comes to your trading. We can understand that, right? You need to treat the spreadsheet exactly like that. Don't cheat yourself. If you, like I did, y'all saw my spreadsheet. That was really personal. You got to see that when I first started, I spent $1,000 in transactions, Cash Apps, Zells, PayPal, all of it. Got to get nitty with it. Just as your mentor being on you about making sure, hey, did you get in that gold trade? Did you use proper risk management? You have proper spending management. You got to get nitty gritty. That's the only way you're going to grow. And you got to sit back and just, if you made a mistake, take the L and just take it. Don't try to make an excuse. It's already done. The done deal is already done. Don't try to relive a mistake to make it relevant in the present. Don't try to relive a mistake just to make it relevant in the present. It was relevant then. It's not relevant now. So if you guys are actually looking to do this, you need to have a serious conversation and go, am I actually going to be real with myself financially? You got to get down to the penny, down to the cent. And that's the only way it's going to matter. So we're going to open the floor up for a couple questions to a few questions. The way it's going to go, I want you to raise your hand. And I know a lot of us don't got our cameras on. Don't be shy. Open them cameras up. This is the first step. Like when we do a call like this with Chris and Karina, my camera's on because they can read this. Your face will tell you everything with your financial decisions. So if you're in an environment where you're able to show your face, show it. Because when when wealth conversations are in face-to-face, they're not going to be like this all the time. You can't hide like this all the time. You got to be able to really look at the people that are trying to help you out. And don't be fearful of it, right? Fear is man-made. I learned that from Ms. Tia Bolden. Fear is a man-made trait. So to eliminate it, you got to face it and got to look at the people who are trying to help out. So raise your hands in the chat if you have questions. I want to open the floor up to anybody. This is your chance. Take advantage of this. You got two professionals here in front of you today that are willing to answer your questions. If it's too personal, you can drop it in the chat. I'll read it. It's okay. Some of us don't want to speak, but that's fine. So feel free to raise your hand, guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. While we have some questions rolling in, I'll continue the conversation while we have some questions roll in. Something about we'll continue the dialogue. Here's something that I see. I want to talk about credit for a second. It's like a buzzword. Something about credit cards and credit is something just hot for someone. Oh, credit card this, business funding this, credit this, funding, credit, FICO scores, 9 yards. What is a typical pitfall that you guys see when it comes to credit cards that people don't make? What is a common mistake that you see your clients make when it comes to credit cards that we should all be more conscientious about before we look into getting a credit card, opening a credit card, etc.? So
a common mistake that people make when it comes to credit cards and opening up a credit cards is, all right, let's say they already have a credit card, and what a lot of people do is they focus on fixing their credit and not fixing their habits. Right? So a lot of people want to, go and, get an 800 credit score. A lot of people want to go ahead and go and get funding. But if you never looked into the habits that got you to that bad credit in the first place, the business funding may not be as great as you think. Or that credit score a couple years later, it might go back to where it was before, because money moves off of emotion. So you got to understand our habits and the places that get us there in the first place. Dang, I had another piece I was going to add to that. It might come to me though.
It's all good. Credit's the big topic. There's a lot of different points to it.
For sure.
Man, here's a common pitfall, guys. Just know your interest rates. Just know your interest rates. Understand that the things that when we sit down with people and we start talking about debt with them, if we're going to say, hey, what's your balance on that card? These are the things you should know. What's the balance on your card? What's the interest rate that you're paying? And what's the minimum payments? If any of you are sitting in any type of credit card debt, and the ideal way to make sure that you are paying off your debt is to pay your credit card every month. Just understand, if you're using a credit card and you're not paying it off every month, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're paying interest on that money. So if you are going to use the credit card the proper way, you run it up and you pay it off every single month, get the points or the rewards or whatever's on the card, pay that thing off. Okay. If you're not and you're carrying a balance every month, you're paying interest on that, doing yourself a disservice. Let's stop using it. Get back to our own money. Okay. Big thing though, focus on, just like Karina said, your habits. Don't just focus on credit scores. The only reason you need credit is because you don't have money to go do something. It's the real reason, right? Sometimes we don't like to hear it that way and it sounds kind of harsh, but at the end of the day, it's true. The reason why you need credit is because you don't have $300,000 to go buy a house. So you need someone to loan you that money. If you had $300,000, you would go buy the house and they wouldn't look at your credit, not even once. I know very wealthy people that buy their cars all cash. They don't ever get a credit report or a credit check run for them. They walk in there and say, I have $200,000. That's the car I want. Right? So just understand the reason why you would even go after having your credit is because you want to go borrow some money. Now, it could be borrowing money to go invest. Sure, that's great, right? You need credit for that. But really, you should be focusing on habits that build you good credit naturally. If you focus on that, you'll always have a good reputation financially so that people will start loaning you money if you want to go borrow it.
So look at like a credit score as like a school report card. That's kind of what the equivalent is. So when you do well in school, when you study, when you do all the things you have to do, you have a great report card. You have a great GPA. And that's the same thing with your money. That's what like a credit score is supposed to reflect, is just your money habits and how just reliable you are when it comes to your spending.
I like that. And it's almost, and you know what's so funny? It is so funny about that, the way he said a report card. And then I love people who have credit repair businesses because that's a great business. It's almost like if you got to pay somebody to fix your credit, it's almost like paying someone to do your own homework. Think about it for a second. If we treat credit as a report, like a report card, if I got to pay someone to fix my credit, that means I'm paying somebody else to do my homework. The homework is my habits. My score is a reflection of my habits. I'm going to pay somebody else to fix my homework. But what am I gaining from that interaction? That's not a shot to anybody who does credit repair businesses, because it's great. People got to do that, and people just don't know. But also, if you put it in that context, that's a way to look at it. If I have to pay somebody else to do my homework in school, I'm going to pay somebody else to fix my credit. So if I get my habits down, my credit's automatically go up. And it's so crazy. I haven't even told Chris or Karina, this is new. My credit score was actually at 580 when I first started working with y'all. We're now 660.
Here we go. Let's go.
Congrats, man.
It is not just because it's the habits, y'all. Like I'm telling, I didn't do anything different. Yes, I went to the gym. Yes, I made some money in the market, but it literally is because I sat down and had the honest talk. Hey, we need to utilization, knock it down. Let's knock some debts off. Let's get some things done. So those are things that happen like that. And my boy Q has a question loaded up. My brother, I know we think alike, so I already know I probably have an idea what you're about to ask. But go ahead and mute your mic, brother, man. Please ask your question to the floor loud and clear. Maybe repeat it twice so that those who may be listening, those who may be driving, those might be taking notes, might need to hear it a little bit different. So please ask your question, brother, man. The floor is yours.
Okay. How are we doing today, family? I'm not even gonna lie to you. I want to say shout out to A first, just for putting this together. Thank you, brother. Every single time, like it's always something new. But I don't want to take up too much of y'all time. I've been listening a lot, taking a lot of notes. I feel like I'm just wild by how much information that I've got. But I do want to ask this specifically on the high yield savings accounts and with your bank's savings accounts. So if you do get a high yield savings account, like A was saying with Marcus, I think it is, Gold Sachs. That's what I was looking for. If you do get one, comparative to having a savings account with your bank, what do you guys recommend after that 6 to 12 month period? Like my question more is like, okay, if you get the high yield savings account, you get that for that 6 to 12 month period, comparative to you having it with, I'm gonna use, for example, since I have Navy Federal, you take that same 6 to 12 months and you deposit whatever it is, like Chris said, you take your 20 or you take your 30 or your 40 or your 70, whatever your situation works with. How in comparative would that really work? Like after I'm done with my 6 to 12 months, is it easy to now take that money from my high yield savings account and go invest wherever I would like, comparative to my savings where it's a little bit more accessible? So I'm kind of just trying to figure out more on the high yield savings side, like how would that more work? I hope that question makes sense and it's not too complicated. Please let me know.
Yeah. So no, first off, great question. Great question. You could tell you're just kind of putting all the pieces together, which is important. You're making connections between what we're talking about and like your own, whatever you have going on personally. So go ahead and answer. So with a bank savings account and just with having your own savings, you want to make sure like you're putting it somewhere where it's liquid. So your emergency fund, we would recommend that it be in just like a regular bank savings because you want it to be liquid. Some high yield saving accounts, you don't have access to it as quickly. And, in the event of an emergency, God forbid, and you need access to that money tomorrow, you want to be able to get it, as fast as you can. But it's always still good to put into a high yield savings account, but just kind of understand where you are on the spectrum. And then after those 6 to 12 months, once you kind of get there, then this is man, we could be here another hour kind of talking about that, but you have different levels of investments, right? We call this this is like your saving strategy, but it's also just your investment strategy. You have short-term, mid-term, long-term investments. Your short-term, that's your savings. And this is the way you should look at it. You should focus on your short-term, then your long-term, then your mid-term. So your short-term is your savings. Your long-term this would be like your retirement piece. Some people might have a 403b. Some people might have a 401k, a Roth IRA. We'll have a topic about family banking, right? Talking about IULs, right? That'll be your long-term. And then your midterm, this is everything that we're doing right now. This is having specialized knowledge in some type of skill. So trading. So all of us here, we're working on that midterm. Now it's just that long-term piece that we really kind of got to have like a structured conversation about.
No, it's really good. The only one piece I'm gonna add to that, because that was perfect. Understanding that once you do get that 6 to 12 months queue, you leave it there. Leave it in the high yield savings. Don't take that and go move it somewhere. Start something new to start building midterm and long term. But that 6 months, that's your cushion. Let it sit in that high yield savings account and get you 4%. Right now, you can get 4 or 5%, right? In some of these, 3.5%. So just let that money sit there. And once you get to 6 months, though, don't put any more money into it. Just leave it there. Then use whatever money you were building that up, then put it into some midterm, do some trading, put some stuff long term, like Karina said, do an IUL, get into some form of other investment. But then you can just leave that 6 months set aside.
And just kind of like another piece to it. And I remember the first time Chris told me this, it kind of blew my mind. But when it comes to saving and the way that we think about it, we were taught to treat our savings account as a future spending account. So when you think about saving, like you really just don't want to touch it, right? A lot of times we're taught, all right, you're going to save to buy a house. You're going to save to go to school. You're going to save to get a car. You're going to save to get a shoes. You're going to save for this trip. That should be a totally different savings account. If you're going to save for something specific, have one savings for emergency fund, and then you want to save for that trip, for that car, that house, whatever it is. But don't treat your savings account as a spending account. It's for emergencies only.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's an excellent point. That's definitely something that I even look at myself. You have a savings account for that long term, and then we all got big trips coming up, right? A lot of us are in the business, right? So we want to go overseas, we want to go to Dubai. And so I want us to be very clear, like when you see people go overseas and travel and stuff like that to Dubai and these fancy Tulum and all these places like that, you got to look, I always look at it at this perspective. I have absolutely no idea what cash flow they got to get to that location. You got to really look at it. Like some people might be going on those trips on their last dollar, and then you don't see them go outside for another 6 to 12 months. They don't go somewhere else again, or they don't go somewhere else again. And some people get caught up in the loop of, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have the blessing to travel everywhere, but you don't know what kind of cash flow they got coming in and what kind of bills they got to pay first, or how their savings is set up, or how their credit is set up. So you can't look at and do the like, yeah, sis, yeah, dude, fly, do the thing. But now you got to look at it and going, okay, what kind of habits do they have that allow them to take that kind of trip? That's how I look at it now. What kind of habits do they have set up? That's the question I'm asking myself, because my habits can get me anywhere I want to be. Your habits can get you in any room you need to be. Your habits of how you handle yourself can get you anywhere you want to go. So that's a gem that I would personally take. But if you don't have any questions, I'm going to leave it with this. And this is the last one. We've been here for a while. I hope you guys have been gaining some amazing value. I want to debunk and blow up this 401k conversation. Can we do that real fast? This is a Chris. You knew it was coming because you talked about this. So check this out. This is game that I learned. The 401k versus the index fund. It's actually kind of crazy a lot of people don't know that your 401k is adjustable on where your 401k is invested into. Some people don't know that the 401k is invested into the stock market. That's how it gains value. But you also can go into your 401k and adjust on where you put your 401k into it. So Chris or Karina, can you guys string apart and digest this whole 401k conversation? 401ks versus index funds, and what we could, and maybe an idea, not actual, because we're not advisors, we're coaches, right? You're coaches. What are some potential plays that we can look into on our own time with our 401ks from our 9-to-5 jobs versus index funds? What are some things we can look into, or maybe try to play out for our own personal lives on those two fronts?
So boom, some pieces on the 401k. I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of people know, but not a lot of people understand. So let's take it back to the history. Because if you want to understand money, you gotta understand history. 401k was started in the 80s, right? So it's very new. 401k really hasn't really been around that long. A lot of like the baby boomers now, they're the ones experiencing, can we really live off of this? Can we really live off of this type of retirement plan? And the reason why we kind of started 401ks is businesses used to give either pensions or they used to give their employees stocks inside of the company. And the reason why, and let's say, a company fell, the stock now had no value. But companies are losing a lot of money by giving their employees pensions, right? It's basically just an income stream for life. So now someone kind of suggested this in the 80s. I can't remember his name, but you could definitely look it up. He suggested having this 401k. So the 401k for a business is amazing because whatever they match, that 5%, that 3%, 2% that they match to every employee is a write-off for the business, right? That's why they started a 401k, because now all this money that they're contributing, they're going to be able to go ahead and write off in the future.
Say that again. I don't think people just heard what they said. We talking taxes, right? Wait, say that again. Business utilize Mexico. So it's a what for a business?
It's a write-off, right? The whatever percentage businesses are matching into their 401ks is a write-off for the business. And they don't pay taxes on it because a 401k is what we call a tax deferred product. So you pay taxes on it when it gets pulled out. So not only are you paying taxes on your own money, you're paying taxes on the company's money because they're putting the money that they're supposed to pay taxes inside of our accounts, right? So that's kind of the history of the 401k and why it was really started to begin with. But now kind of on the other side, right? Because there's two sides to every coin. 401ks could be a benefit if you're a really high income earner and you want to lower your tax bracket, right? So it's good for some people, but it's not good for the mass majority of people because not the mass majority of people, we're the 90%, right? It's only 1% can kind of take advantage of lowering their tax bracket inside of a 401k. Now, in terms of kind of how it moves and how it works, like Aaron said, it just moves off of the stock market and to tax deferred product. And there's a lot of penalties that kind of come with it that not a lot of people even know are there because they're really in the fine print. But Chris, I'll let you take the other half because we can talk
we can talk a lot about this.
We can talk a lot about this one.
we can really go in on this topic. So I'm gonna keep it real high level and spare you guys the details. But if you want us to come back and have a conversation, or y'all want to chop it up one-on-one,
sure.
right? Let's just talk about it. But really, the thing to pay attention to when it comes to the 401k is a lot of this stuff is brainwashing, right? A lot of this stuff is just propaganda that is pushed to us. And so if you want to take your financial life to the next level, guys, you got to know some of the old traditional models and vehicles that they offered us aren't getting us there, right? I always joke with people, you don't know anybody right now, parents, grandparents, you don't know anybody that's like, man, I'm so glad I got that 401k. It saved me. I'm rich because of that. You don't really know anybody like that, right? Because it doesn't necessarily do that. Big thing to pay attention to is what Karina talked about is it's really two things. It's your market exposure and your tax exposure. When you are putting money into a vehicle, a 401k is your long-term vehicle if that's what you would choose to put it in. It's just like an IRA or 403b or TSP or any of those things, right? So if you're going to choose to do that long term and grow money and get some interest in it, then you got to understand your market exposure. How much are you being exposed to the market? And when you're ready to get off the roller coaster, can you? Right? When you're ready to touch that money when you're 60, can you pull it out? And then two, your tax exposure. What's your tax liability when you put money into a tax deferred product? Understanding those two things. If you understand how your money is exposed and then the taxation on it, then you can start to come to some clear conclusions of what you should do. Because at the end of the day, you got tax deferred and then you get tax advantaged. And that's where that IUL comes into play, that index universal life. There's a strategy out there called index strategy, which basically says you'll be able to get protection from the downside of the market, and you'll also be able to get gains inside of the market. So let's say the market does 7% one year. Market goes up 7%, you're going to get that 7% interest. Let's say the next year the market goes down -10%. From that -10%, guess what? You're going to get 0 or you're going to get 1%. You're going to actually gain money. They're going to give you a floor so you don't have to lose money. In your 401k, they don't have that option. They don't have the ability to do that. So if the market goes down -10, you're going to take a -10 loss. Market goes up 7, you're going to get 7, goes back down, you're going to take it. So the IUL gives you a strategy where you can avoid the losses and you can still get gains in the market. You do that over a 10, 15, 20-year period, ladies and gentlemen, you can build something big. Good to see you, my guy, Francisco. Good to see you on the screen, buddy.
Right. Special shout out to Francisco and Asia who have been working with us, and I've been putting in the work as well.
Right. Asia in the chat. Shout out to
I've
Asia.
seen their improvements. So great shout out to them. Like it's just amazing to see. And another resource, Zion, Tax-Free Millionaire, is a great one, great book.
Zion's on it
Another
too.
one, Retirement Miracle. That's another really good one. And I actually have a PDF I can definitely share with y'all. I'm in the chat, so I'll drop it in the chat right after this call. Talks about a lot. Talks about a lot.
But that's the key,
it may answer a lot of these questions that you guys have around 401ks and index funds. So I'll drop that PDF for y'all.
Yeah, just get yourself educated, guys. That's the key, right? And you can utilize Karina and I to like give you some of this education because this is what we do all day. But in general, you just need to get educated. Don't put money into some type of retirement vehicle that you know nothing about. Just because your mom or your cousin or your uncle or someone on TV told you that that could be it. If you don't know anything about it, rule number one of investing is understand your investment. It's rule number one. If you don't understand it, you're gambling. You're just like guessing on things. And that's not what investing is about. Investing is about a specialized knowledge. So even if you say you're going to invest in an IRA or a 401k, you better understand what that means. Understand the ins and outs of it. And then you can feel comfortable putting your money there. But don't ever put your money in places you don't know.
And another piece that I recently just read I was reading Robert Kiyosaki, one of his books, and he said, don't invest into anything without insurance. So he's huge on real estate. Every single one of his properties is insured, right? If you have a car, you want to make sure you have insurance. As a trader, our insurance is our skill set. So, what type of coverage is your retirement plan having or gaining, in the event of something outside of your control happens?
Yeah. Bag drop. I told y'all this was going to be a bag drop. Q, I know you got a question. Please ask it quickly, and then we gotta go. I've had the family here way too long. We got jobs. People gotta work in the morning. I know you got
not me. No
Yeah,
job over here.
Yeah,
we
We're out
can
of this
stay
one.
here all
I know
night.
for some of us, we trying to get to where y'all gonna be.
There we
So
go.
I know our time is precious. So Q, please ask this will
Definitely.
be the last question for the night, and then we're gonna get out of here. Q, it's on you.
I'm actually gonna make this very quick. For people that actually do have 401ks, well, me, let me kind of streamline this. Okay, so I had Fidelity Investments. When I had my old job, I had Fidelity Investments. I stopped working with that old job at some point. I had quit. Fidelity Investments ended up sending me a check for like maybe I want to say like 180 or something like that. At that time, of course, wasn't around 80. I wasn't around anybody that had any kind of financial information. My uncle was an accountant around that time, and I just asked him, I'm like, something about this just don't feel right. Like, why would y'all just give me $180 just because y'all just feel like it? Like, something about this just don't. So I was about to go to the bank and just cash it because I was like, $180, I could use that to do something. But I was like, man, let me just add something about this just feels kind of just funny. I ended up going into Fidelity Investments because they sent me a statement maybe like 2 or 3 days later. And I look at that statement and it says maybe like $3,000 or $4,000 at the time. I've been working there for about 6 months. To get to my question, now, if you have any job or you have any place that you're working at that has a 401k or has some sort of plan and you stop working there, what is your advice on rolling these things over? Because now I'm in the military and I get TSP, but like, what would you guys say more for that old job? Do I just at this point count my losses and just be like Fidelity Investments forever? Or is it just a thing that I'm gonna have to wait till I get to that age to be able to touch that money at all? I just
No,
kind
that's
of wanted to find
yeah,
out.
for
I ended
sure.
up
That's
getting rid of that check as well, by the way.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it, Karina. I'll take this one real quick because I think
Mhm.
it's simple for people to understand. It depends on how much money you have setting aside. If you came from another company and you were putting money into their retirement plan, their 401k, and then you leave that job, now you have an account sitting with Fidelity and it's still sitting in the stock market. It's doing whatever the stock market does, takes ups and downs, right? They're going to give you the option because you no longer work with them. They're going to give you the option to take that money. If you take that money, which it's yours, once you leave employment, it's yours, but a part of it has to go to paying your taxes because you've never paid taxes on that money. Okay. So part of it's going to have to go to taxes. And then they're going to hit you with a 10% penalty on top of that because you're before the age of 60. And any 401k, TSP, IRA, all of those things, they come with something called the 59.5 rule, which literally says if you put your money in here, you can't touch this money until you're 60 years old. If you touch this money before you're 60, we're going to not just tax you, we're going to hit you with a 10% penalty on top of that tax. If you wait until you get all the way to 60, okay, we won't give you the 10% penalty, but you still got to pay taxes at whatever the tax rate is when you turn 60. So if you leave a job, you got an old 401k, you got a little bit of money sitting there, you got two options. You can kick the can down the road and not pay your taxes until you're 60 and see if that little $3,000 or whatever turns into $12,000 when you're 60, right? It's only going to be so much, right? Especially if you don't add anything to it. So you could do that and then just pay your taxes down the line. Or normally what I explain to people is if you have less than 10,000, maybe less than $15,000 in an old 401k, it probably makes sense to pay your taxes on it now, liquidate the account, pay your taxes on it, pay your penalty on it. So now it becomes back to tax-free money or what they call non-qualified money. And so now you have that, you have more moves you can make with it because you've already kind of paid the taxes on the money. And that's when we might show you to put it in an IUL or put it in something tax-free that's going to be able to help you. But normally under 10,000, under 15,000, you probably want to just go ahead and liquidate that thing out. Don't worry about the taxes down the line, pay them now, take your 10% penalty, and then move that into another investment vehicle for yourself. Lacine said that she took hers out recently and had to pay 20% for federal tax. That's the way it works. Remember, all the money that sits inside of your 401k, IRA, 403b, TSP, that is tax deferred money, meaning the money, it goes in, you don't pay any taxes on it going in. But the only way to get it out is to pay your taxes on it. It's the only way. So that they're going to take that 10% federal tax, and they most likely you need to withhold 10% that you're going to get charged when you go file your taxes at the end of the year, because that's the 10% withdrawal penalty that you're going to get hit with you're probably going to want to save that up in some savings.
And Kia's definitely be up on the side. We can kind of just dive even deeper kind of into all this. And we work with a couple people in the military, like, you know, really looking into what a TSP, what's in it, how to move, what's involved. You know, whatever investments you have, you want to understand it 10 out of 10.
That's it.
You got it like trading. You really got to get the skill set down 10 out of 10 in order to really make money off of it. So Instagram probably be like the best way, and then, you know, I'll shoot you my number, and then we'll figure out a time to get together.
Look, man. Can we put a bag drop in the chat? That bag drop for Karina and Chris, you guys are heaven sent. I'm gonna go ahead and if you guys don't mind, we're gonna drop your guys' social media. Y'all go link with them. Yeah, go get them, gang. They here. Go work with them. I promise you it's worth it. I promise you it's worth it. Go talk to them. Go get connected with them. This is your chance. This was a lot of value. This will be, like I said, you'll get to watch this over and over again. I actually have another video on YouTube. This was a few months ago. I did it with both of them. That goes more into the tax deferred and that conversation. It goes into the beginning stages of it. I got another video on that. Go watch. I'll share them with everybody. Go watch that one first and watch this one. And you have absolutely no idea the difference on what these two calls right here can definitely do a value. Chris, thank you. Karina, thank you. Please keep going to chat with hearts. Show them the love. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna drop. Chris, if you could drop your IG.
I got it.
For everybody. Karina, please drop yours as well. Take screenshots, take pictures. Guys, this was the call of a lifetime. I thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for allowing not only myself to be able to get you guys in the room. Thank you guys for your time. Your time is very valuable. I love you guys so much. You guys are amazing. You guys are beautiful people. Please reach out to them. They are here to help. They are here going to give you the game. They're going to give you the value. They got the spreadsheets. They have the tools. They have the resources. They have the experience. Karina's been in this game. She knows where we're coming from. Chris he has the years, right? So, family, that is it for me. Chris, Karina, do you guys have any final parting words or pieces of advice you want to leave the gang, and then we'll sign off?
Just thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, once again, just for putting this together, and thank you for everyone that stayed on the call, stayed engaged. You know, I saw a lot of people writing notes, and that just says a lot just about all of y'all characters. I think y'all stayed on till 11 p.m., maybe 10 p.m. for you guys. So just thank you. You know, thank you for listening and just putting yourselves in position.
Yeah, we always appreciate the opportunity to share the message and share the mission. One thing that we'll always say is just apply it, right? Whatever you get, whatever you learn, don't just take it in as more information, like actually apply it. If there's other questions, hit up Karina, hit up myself. Like, let's jump on a call. Let's talk it through. But you just got to apply the information that you get. Remember, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Okay, so you actually have to apply the knowledge that you get. If there's something that you learned today, take an actionable step to do it. And that's how you're going to get better. So again, we appreciate taking the time, Aaron. We appreciate you, again, creating the platform and allowing us to have the conversation. April's Financial Literacy Month. So you're going to see us everywhere talking about it. If you guys want to, again, set up time, hit up Karina, hit up myself, hit up Aaron. He'll know how to get in touch with us. But let's make sure that we're going out there to make a difference, right? Change your financial life first. Get your foundation right so you can build something great on it. And then we can all go out and teach others how to do it for themselves. All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We out of here. Peace.